Hey, thanks for coming back to watch some videos with me. Hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and check out this first video. It made me chuckle for like 5 minutes straight. I think you'll like it.
I said toe.
We can take that toe, right?
Watch this.
Knee. Show. Hey. Knee. Toe. Hey. Toe.
Oh my God, they were so quick. That was awesome. And then they're telling each other about it. I love it. That is hilarious. Guys, today we're going to watch some ghost stories together. Let's figure out if we can decide if these are true or BS, because sometimes when it comes to TikTok, people just like to make videos, whether they're true or not. Let's see if we can see if these are true or false. We'll do it together.
So about 15 years ago or so, give or take, my brother-in-law shows up to my house freaking out. He is so inconsolable, saying that he thinks that somebody broke into his house because he was hearing furniture being slammed in the living room. And he was so freaked out that he jumped out of his bedroom window just to get to my house. I've never seen this dude act like this. So trying to be a good friend and a good brother, I was like, look, I'll go back to your house with you. We'll drive over there and we'll see what's going on. So we do that. We drive up to the property, and as soon as we get in the driveway, something feels off. It feels weird. Something's not right. So we walk into the house, and there's nothing out of place or anything that we could see. But because I'm a ghost hunter and like a paranormal investigator, I brought my digital recorder with me, just in case. So I had an idea, just to try to calm him down some. I was like, look, we'll put my digital recorder down here in the living room. We'll turn off the AC. We'll turn off any TV or anything that's on in the house, and we'll just let it run for a while, and we'll sit in the car and just see if we can hear anything moving around in there that you were hearing earlier. So about 30 minutes later, we go back in, we grab the recorder, and because he's still freaked out, he comes back to my house because he's like, dude, I'm not staying here. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not going to be sleeping in this house.
Sometimes old houses make noises. If you've ever lived in an old house or visited your grandparents and their house made noises, you know what I'm talking about. Let me know down below.
So the next day, I run the recorder back just to listen to see if there was anything going on. And what we captured was the freakiest thing that I have ever captured in my entire life. There was a voice on the recorder, and it said Shane and his name in a female voice. And then right after that, that voice changed to a deep male voice that said, I'll unalive you, but it was the other word. To this day, whenever I heard that, tears welled up in my eyes, and I'm like, you know what? There is something strange and unusual going on that is not physical. Like, it was nothing. I know for a fact that there was nobody anywhere near that house. It was so early in the morning. Nobody was awake. There was nobody walking down the street. There was no television on, no radio. I made sure of that when I walked into the house and put it there. But there was something else there, and that put me on a path, even more so, to try to figure out what's going on in the paranormal world, the strange and unusual. There are things way beyond us, and to this day scares me to death.
I saw a show. Did you guys ever see this show? I forget what channel it was on, but it was talking about people that would actually sleep in your attic or in your closet or even in the spaces between your walls. Here's the problem I have with this guy's story. Number one, he's a ghost hunter. I always feel those people are suspect, right? Number two, if you had this tape and you listen to it from time to time, and every time you do it makes your tears well up, right? Wouldn't you have played the tape for all of us to hear? I'm going to call this one Cap. Tell me if you guys agree.
Let me tell you the story of how I encountered a shadow girl.
Okay.
Okay, a shadow person that took on the form of a little girl. Let me set the scene. We are in roughly 2010, 2011, 2012, around that range. I don't remember the exact year, but on this particular house was one of my childhood homes that me and my family moved to. Just like a lot of you, we moved a lot growing up. And on this particular house, we referred the house as Michelle Circle, and from that point on, it just stuck. Let me explain why we did that. This is a little representation, but the road that led to the cul-de-sac was called Michelle Circle, and the house of Michelle Circle was located right before the cul-de-sac opened. And it's because of that why we called this house Michelle Circle. On this particular day, I was just home alone with my dad. This was when my parents weren't divorced yet.
Okay.
I don't remember where my mom and my sisters went, but they went shopping, I believe. That's more than likely what happened. But anyways, I didn't want to go, so they went shopping and went to go out, do their own thing, have a girl day, okay? So, as a middle schooler who was bored out of his mind, I first went outside to go knock on my neighbor's doors because I was under the assumption that they would be home too, right? Because it's summer break, so the kids should be around. And at this time, we would always hang out with each other. The neighborhood kids would always hang out with each other. But unbeknownst to me, they weren't home until I finished knocking, and yeah, nobody answered. Nobody was home. So I went back home, and I went to go try to talk to my dad, but he was already asleep on the couch in the living room. And I was like, well, damn, what am I going to do now? Because I was going to go and play on the laptop, but I didn't want to. So what does a middle schooler do when he's bored out of his mind? I'll tell you exactly what he does. He does nothing, literally nothing. So I need to provide you more context on the situation because it's important.
His first drawing wasn't that great. It made Michelle or Melissa's house or whatever look like a testicle. He's not the best artist.
It's important. Turn your screen now if you haven't. So, this is the layout, which is important, right? So this is the front door that goes into the house, and once you go into the front door, you're met with the sitting room.
Okay.
Across from the front door is another door that leads to the kitchen that then leads to another door that opens up to the living room. But that doesn't matter because my dad was like right here. Anyways, so I decide to walk through the kitchen, go through the door, and sit on this couch. All right, and in front of the couch is the window, and to the side of the couch was the stairs that goes upstairs to the bedroom. Oh my gosh. Now just thinking about it just gives me chills. But anyways, so boom, we're sitting on the couch and I'm looking outside in the front yard, bored out of my mind, hot as hell, means it's summer. And I get this feeling that I'm being watched. To preface, I pretty much grew up around the supernatural, hearing knocks in the middle of the night, having things misplaced, weird things just happening.
He just said a second ago that he was going to the neighbor's house knocking on their door, and now he's wondering why he's hearing knocks on his door.
I learned how to grow up with it, just like a lot of others who grew up around the supernatural, and my mom always just told me to ignore it. But I didn't ignore it this time. I didn't ignore it because I was bored out of my mind. So I decide to just sit with the feeling of being watched and to try and trick the ghost. Because originally, whenever I would get these feelings, I would never see anything, right? Never, but not this day. So I thought in my mind that I could trick the ghost to believing that I was not aware that they were watching me. Or the shadow person was watching me. Shadow girl, little girl. It was a little girl was watching me.
I gotta just say this real quick because I think you guys have done this too. I've been in this guy's situation where you feel like somebody's there, like from the closet or from the dark of the hall, right? And you're watching maybe a scary movie, or maybe you're just in the house by yourself. and you don't quite want to look over and actually see some scary grudge-like creature go meow. You don't want to deal with that. So you just choose not to look. I know exactly where he's coming from.
The average person, normal person, would have just dipped immediately, but not me.
You live there. Where are you
Anyways,
going to dip
so
to?
I'm sitting there. I calm my body down because I'm like, I'm going to catch this bitch. You know, I didn't say that, but like, I'm going to catch this person who's watching me. And so immediately, when I get the feeling that they are still watching me and they don't think that I know that they're watching, I decide to look to the left, and this is what I saw. Like, I look to the left, like, fast, like this.
Oh, geez. That is grudge-like.
I just rewatched that, and I'm never doing that again. But yeah, that's what I saw. And just imagine that, but a black, shadowy figure that took on the form or appearance of a little girl with like 2 pigtails. That's what I saw. And you know what? Based off where she ducked from, she was in my sister's bedroom. You know, at first it happened so quick to the point that I didn't even register that it happened. So I did it again. And I saw her duck one more time. I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to play that out again because no. But
All right, so let's break this down. He sees the grudge not once, but twice. I think he's still faking. What do you guys think? I think this is an overactive imagination of a middle school kid. So he's probably, what, 13, maybe 14 years old. He probably saw the cat. Did you have an animal at the time? You say you lived in multiple houses and you're in middle school. You don't know the year that that is? I don't know. I'm thinking he's remembering things falsely. So I'm going to say this is another Hap situation.
Okay, when I was young, I remember I was probably around 6 because of the house that we lived in. I had fallen asleep when my dad was watching football. And I woke up in like the middle of the hallway and all the lights were off. I'm not sure what time it was, but I woke up sleeping like on the floor. The top half of my body was in the hallway. It was like a ranch style home. Our bedroom was like towards the end of the hallway, and my feet were in the bedroom. And I like kind of looked up to see if my sister was in her bed, to see if everyone was asleep. And I looked back down the hallway and there was this little girl, and she was walking like slowly down the hallway. She was wearing like a nightgown and holding flowers, like roses. And she had like, maybe not a smile, but she looked pleasant. And I remember kind of like backing up and like shaking my head, like rubbing my eyes, like thinking, am I seeing this or am I like asleep? But I don't remember being like afraid, but I remember like being like intensely like looking at her thinking like, is this really happening? And so at that time she was like made it to the bedroom door, and like when you walked in, there was bunk beds straight right when you walked into the room, and to the right there was a closet. So she walked in through the doorway and like into that like wall portion of the closet. So I got up, I opened the closet doors to look to see how she got in there through the wall. And she wasn't in there. So I like raced down to my mom's room. I'm like, Mom, there's a little girl and she's in my closet. We got to go, like, wake up. And so my mom and dad were just like, okay, go back to bed. So I went back to bed, and I thought I had brought it up the next morning, but I guess not. Anyway, I've thought of that, like, you know, when people say, oh, have you ever seen a ghost? It's come up, and I thought of that. But a couple years ago, we were all with my family, and I brought up that story, and my older sister had like tears in her eyes, and she's like, I remember that night. I was awake, and I just tried to go back to bed because I was terrified. And I don't know how we've never talked about it, but that like gives me chills even thinking about it, because that validates like I was not dreaming. She saw it too. And I don't know how we've never talked about it. And it's been like 15, 18 years.
So I love the way she told that story. But again, I think people will do anything to go viral. I'm going to call that another lie. What do you guys think? She looks a little like Madonna there, literally, with the gap in the teeth and everything. All right, this is a mother-in-law story. These can be lies too. Let's judge it.
This one's a doozy. You might want to buckle up. That was foreshadowing. So when my oldest two kids were 1 and 2, I decide I'm going to go back to school.
Okay.
This is motivated by the fact that my mother-in-law continuously is telling my husband that I am just living off of him for his money. The irony here is that there was no money for me to live off of. We were totally broke, had 2 young kids. Anyway, I decide I'm going to go to school because despite the fact that I am not, in fact, with him for the money we didn't have, I felt like I had something to prove. So I decide that I'm going to go to community college. Spring semester has just started, day 2. It's January, and it's a country community college kind of out in the middle of nowhere in Agland. Plus it's winter and there's fog everywhere. The fog was terrible. Where we live, the fog is awful anyway in the winter, but it was an especially foggy night. So I'm driving down country road in the fog on my way to night school, because it's the only time I can go is when my husband's home from work. And unfortunately for me, there's a flatbed truck in front of me with no taillights that decides to stop to make a turn. I don't see it until it's too late, and I slam right into it. That's also the moment that I discover I either didn't latch my seatbelt down all the way, like it didn't fully click, or it malfunctioned because I hit the windshield. When you're poor, sadly, the first thing you think of is money. And so when a car pulled over to help me that had a cell phone, because I did not, I had to convince him not to call an ambulance because I knew I couldn't afford it, and instead convince him to call my husband to come get me. So he comes to get me, and before we get home, I realize I definitely have a concussion. But again, even though we were insured, our insurance was trash, and it was just not something we could afford. So I went home.
Okay.
So as I'm in the bathroom, sick as a dog, hunched over the toilet, bawling my eyes out because I'm terrified, and my head looks like a Klingon, I can hear her screaming in the living room at him because, yes, we lived with her at the time. I can hear her screaming at him. That's what she gets for leaving her children.
I don't think that's true either. Okay, so check this out. I live in Arizona. Guys, there's never any fog here in Arizona, but there could be fog where she lives. So this is where I need you. As an Arizonan, when I think of the fog, I think of something that's going to be hard to deal with during the early morning daytime, right? Because you can't see in front of you because of the fog. Does fog happen at night? It must happen at night also. I don't know. I still think she's BSing just to try to go viral. Do you guys think this story is true? Do you think the mom said that she deserved to get in the car accident because she was leaving her kids to go to community college? I don't know. It's just hard for me to believe that one. They're all hard for me to believe because people lie so darn much.
Y'all ain't gonna believe this. This happened to me for real. Some years ago, I was about 1.5 years out of my divorce, okay? And my son, who's autistic, was 2 at the time. And I didn't trust but half a handful of people to watch him, all right? So
Right.
I didn't get out very much. So one night, I was at home, and it was about 11 o'clock at night, and I saw this commercial for the chat line, right? So I had remembered the chat line from back when I was younger, and it was fun because people are hilarious. The stuff that people say out their mouth, you would not believe.
Let me dress this table for us all. When we were young, they had these chat lines. You would find out about them by just watching TV. They would come up. A lot of them were designed to try to get men to pay for subscriptions while women got in for free, but it was designed where you would actually communicate with people, kind of like a blind date. The reason they were fun is because I don't think anybody dated off of them. It was literally guys and girls prank calling, being funny. Sometimes guys would pretend to be girls, at least me and my buddies would. And it was just a lot of fun. It was like prank calling, but it was very entertaining. So what she's talking about is really true. I don't even think they have those 1-800 phone calls. Those, I forget what they called. They were just like party lines. I don't think they have those anymore.
So I was like, you know what the hell? I'm bored, right? I got on there. People did not fail me. It was hilarious. But you don't meet people, like, for real.
Right.
At least in my opinion, you don't. You go in there for entertainment, right? So just when I was about to get off, I had got a message and I was about to hang up my phone. A voice said to me, listen to that message. So I did. And it was a gentleman. He sounded very educated and normal. I kid you not. That person is my now husband. And he is wonderful. Not only is he an
Wow.
amazing man, but he's an amazing human being. Now, if you had told me that I was going to meet my husband on the chat line, I would have asked you if you had your brain screwed on backwards. Okay? Because I would have never in a million years thought that that would happen.
That is so crazy. And if I'm going to tell you the truth, I think this is the one true story. That was a great story. You know what another great story is? Tomorrow's story. And I hope that you guys come back and watch some more videos with me then. I'll see you then.